Racing in Scotland fly half, Finn Russell joins us. How are you, Finn?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good.
An unexpected weekend off, an Easter off. I'm sure it's not how you planned it, but how did you spend it? Presumably watching the game somewhere.
Yeah, no, I was at the game, so I trained with the boys during the week and then went along to the game on Sunday. So, little Antoine Gilbert, he's been playing, so I kind of had a few messages for him at half time, and I try and help him out a little bit when he's playing. So I kind of went along to help out if I could.
I caught up with you briefly in the tunnel after the Scotland-France game. So to take you back to that win in Paris, the other boys, what was the feeling? I know what the feeling was from the Scottish side. We'll get onto that in a second. But for the French boys like Big Bernie, Leroux, Vakatawa, Camille Shad, those boys, to finish on that note, how did they find it? How was it from the French perspective and the boys that you know at Racing?
Yeah, I spoke to Virimi after. When we saw you, I was chatting to Virimi, and he was kind of fine. It's a game of rugby at the end of the day. I think they're probably a bit annoyed that Greece didn't just kick the ball out when they were ahead in the 22. That they then tried to run it when it didn't really make a difference for them for positional wise. So that they're probably a bit frustrated with that. I didn't end up changing where they finished up in the competition, but just to have finished on a loss is probably more frustrating when they had the ball and they could have kicked out and won the game. But there's not been really too much said about it. It's kind of, I think, if they came back and it was straight into the quarter final, you've not really got time to chat about it and blather away. Well, you do, but you're more chatting about it the next weekend. It's a big game against Edinburgh. We had to win it. It's like another final, so you've quickly got to change your mindset. Well, not me, because I was obviously not playing, but the boys, they've got to change and get ready for the quarter final, for the last 16 game.
Just on that France-Scotland game, Finn, it feels like we've spent most of the last sort of 6-8 weeks building up to it with Johnny and Benji. So we got to chat a bit about it. Johnny, it was one of the best days of his life, I think. Benji, not quite so much. But we spent a huge amount of time discussing waffles and Fabian's excursion and all sorts in the build-up. Johnny sort of said it looked like you guys were motivated by that, by this sort of air of frustration about how it was postponed and everything that happened around it. So was there a bit of a sense of frustration around it?
At the time, when it got cancelled in the third game of the tournament, there was a bit of frustration because we kind of prepared well that week. We thought we were going to go ahead and play, and then it got cancelled, obviously. But I suppose the current situation with COVID, that is potentially going to happen. So we had to. We then had 3 weeks that we didn't play for, so then going into the Ireland game, we're maybe a little bit, we were quite far off where we wanted to be. But you can't blame it on that, but it might have had an effect. So then for us, it maybe was a little bit of frustration. But then I think the drive that we had to win now is, we'd never won in France for 22 years or 23 years, I can't remember. We'd won in England, and then we can try and do it in France. We can really push them hard. They've got to try and chase a win with 20 points. They're talking about beating us by 20 points. So I think we went in there as underdogs, but we knew if we played well, we'd be able to pressure the French. And we came out with a win on top. We maybe shouldn't have, if Greece would have kicked the ball out, but we managed to pressure them and stay in the game long enough that we ended up winning it, which was good for us. But we never really spoke about the COVID stuff or the game being cancelled building up to the actual test. It was more just focusing on us and what we were trying to achieve.
And the most important question about that France-Scotland game is, you mentioned the conversation you had with Johnny after the game. He told us that you said, if everywhere was open, we'd be in Boom Boom tonight and I'm going to buy it. So do you need any more investors? Because I think we're in.
Yeah, right. Well, I was chatting to someone and they were saying it's closed down now. So.
It was Thibaut Giroud he was telling us.
Yeah, he was saying it's closed down. So it's obviously things have changed in France all over the world with the weekends and then go out for a party and stuff. So I don't know where it'll be best once everything opens back up again.
We're all itching for it to get back. So can you describe Boom Boom to us? Give us an idea, make us feel like we're there, because I'm on the brink of investing. So
it's a company that takes over called Fresh Touch on the Sundays, and it's just a good laugh. So there's a guy that Yannick put me in touch with, and then I started going there, and because you do quite often play games on Sundays. Especially, I think Racing get quite a few of them. I don't know if it's because we've got the arena for whatever reason, but that would kind of just be the place that you go to. It would be open on the Sundays, and that would be where it was. So
And that's Yannick, the sixth sexiest man in Congo as well. So we're there with him as well. Sign me up.
We'll get him along.
Mate, seriously, how frustrating was it? Like, obviously, it's massive history for this is mainly French podcast, but the first time we've won in France since 1999, and you don't get to go out and celebrate it. What was there a bit of frustration? Like I saw the state, some of the boys on the bus the next day, a proper mess. So obviously, you had a good time in the hotel, but could you imagine what it would have been like the first time since 1926, beating England and beating France away and getting to go out and celebrate it with kilts everywhere in Paris? How good it could have been? Was there a bit of, geez, it could have been insane?
Yeah, I think 2 years ago we'd played them over there, and obviously there's fans. I wasn't playing because I'd fractured my cheek, but I'd organised and it was a Sunday game as well, so obviously we're at Boom Boom. So I'd organised it, and then the boys were looking forward to it. It's, when you go on away trips, depends on the turnaround, but especially if it was the middle game of the tournament or the last game, you then get a week off after it. You got a couple of days to kind of chill out after it, so you can properly kind of get together as a team. So I think, it would have been good, especially because I live here. I know kind of where's good to go, what to do, and things like that. I think there's similar to the England game. After the England game, we won. It was a massive win for us, the first game of the tournament, and then you're just on the bus straight to the airport to then fly back up to Scotland. So it's, although you're all celebrating after the game, it's a very different kind of atmosphere, and part of that's also to do with having no crowd at the game. I remember 2 years ago when we drew with them down there. I was gutted because we probably could have won that game, but with the crowd being there, the atmosphere, everything after it was so much better. The feeling was so much better. Which is it's a shame that we won in France and in England, because I don't know when it will next happen again. Hopefully in 2 years' time, but you might not get these kind of memories that often. So it's a shame that you can't spend them with your mates or your family or whoever travels over with you. I was kind of on FaceTime with my mum and dad back in Stirling, and they were obviously loving it, but again, they can't do anything either. So I think for everyone, it's it takes I don't know. I suppose we'll save the big celebrations for next year, maybe. I suppose so. I'll do it again.
Stop saying it's the only time that you beat England, because we beat England together with the Babas, mate. We put 62 points on them.
Yes.
And that was the best week of my life. I loved it from start to finish. Oh, my word. That was incredible.
That was good. I think I've got a pretty good record against England, actually, the last few times I've played them. England and France have got a pretty good record, so.
All right, chill out, mate. I was just talking about England. I was just talking about all the good memories we had in Babas. You don't have to go on and ruin them, man.
England that is beating France. So.
Any memories you can share from that week, Benji, that Barbados week, or any that you can remember?
My extraordinary week. Pat Lam, a mega good coach. Just a fantastic bunch of boys. I mean, listen, we were blessed. I was talking about having Virimi Vakatawa, but we had Simi Radradra and Josh Tuisova, who didn't touch a drop of alcohol the whole week. So Finn basically just had to give them the ball. They dismantled England almost on their own. I was there almost clapping with them. I just had to chuck a line out from time to time. That's about all I did. And then all of a sudden, the Babas fever hit me. Finn Russell kicks me my first cross kick of my whole life, and I'm there on the wing and I'm about to catch it, and I try to flick it back inside somebody, and George Ford picks it up and England score. So so I'm a Babas in the heart, not so much in the hands, that's me.
That was a fun week. I was speaking to Corey about that because he got called in late on, didn't he? He came out the second day, I think, and by the end of the week he said he's done Barbarians 5 times. And he said, "What? That was the hardest that it's ever been in terms of training." So,
and it wasn't very hard, to be honest. we did do much.
Hear of it, but
no, mate. It was what I loved about it is, remember day 2. So the first day is a massive piss up, whatever, and then day 2, I think we had meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning. Pat Lam is mega chilled, mega good guy, but some boys rocked up at 9:05. And then Malikai Fekitoa just comes in and he just announced the team is like, right, you're dropped, you're on the bench. He didn't drop the smile, he didn't change his face, but he sort of gave a chill to the boys. Where everybody's giggling and you're always having a laugh, and John Afoe is there, touching your nuts and cracking a joke every 15 seconds. And Pat is all for it. But all of a sudden you realize, hang on, we're seriously going to train. Right. Yeah. So there was also some quality rugby and some quality patterns in there, and it ended up in 62 points. So it's pretty good.
And speaking of everything that goes with the Barbars, the aftermath of the France-Scotland game, obviously the last year or so hasn't been the Parisian experience that you were kind of hoping for. It hasn't really been the experience that any of us have been hoping for. But Paris in general, you seem to be loving life there. How's it suited you?
Yeah, I love it here. I think the first year I was here, I probably didn't do much in Paris. I'd only be going to shops when I had family or friends over, and I was kind of taking them into the restaurants or things like that. But I think the longer I've been here, the more I've been able to chat to boys. I've done more things. Like my French still isn't great, but it's like the more I can speak French, the more I'll be able to just chat to people and find out where's good to go, what's good to do, and I'll be able to enjoy the experience more. I think, like, I'm loving it just now, but I think once I can speak better and better, it'll only get better here. And like say, last year was tough. It's not as tough; it's just different. But I was just saying anywhere, at least over here in Paris, it was nicer weather than other places. So, I've got a house with a garden. Some boys didn't have that. So for me, I was the last year wasn't too bad. It just meant I could wake up when I want, train when I wanted, and be quite chilled. So, but nah, in general, I'm loving it here. So I've got 2 more years. So hopefully by the end of that, I'll be able to speak French properly.
You mentioned your French. We often get Benji to give people a bit of help. So he might give you some in a minute. But who's helping you along while you're out there? Who are the best French teachers in the wrestling squad?
Well, I started off getting lessons, and then I think, because I was then travelling back and forward to Scotland, it was quite tough to keep going to the lessons, because I'd do maybe 2 months or 2.5 months at the start of the year, then go back for November tests, and then they'd be off for Christmas. So you kind of was really stop-start with the classes. And actually, a lot of the times when I probably picked up was actually after games, having a few beers with boys, and just trying to speak French with them. So you come in Monday and they're like, "Oh, no, Finn, he speaks really good French. You've got to speak French with us." And I was thinking, like, nah, this French I speak on Monday is different to what I speak on a Saturday night.
The courage.
Yeah. But that's probably not where I learned it, but that's probably where you get the confidence to try it with the boys, and you make mistakes, but you don't mind. And again, the more you get to know the players here, so the better I get to know them, the more confidence I have in speaking to them in French. So it was only maybe a year ago, 6-7 months ago, that I said to them, like, you have to speak in French to me now, because I would try and speak in French with them, but then they'd speak in English back to me. So it was kind of, I thought everyone would say, "Oh, you'll understand French better or quicker than you can speak it." But I think I can understand some, but I can probably speak. I find it easier to speak because I can just like wiggle my way around words that if I don't know them, or make mistakes but not be too fussed about it. Whereas, it was only till, like I said, about a year ago or 6 months ago that the boys started speaking French to me the whole time. So that's probably helped me improve it as well. Actually, all the players just speaking in French to me have for conversations instead of speaking in English. But yeah.
Mate, all the boys that are up there have said they've been really impressed by your French. Francois Tranduc, Anthony Claassen, the boys that I know said that they've been really impressed. And if you're ever in doubt, all the people that speak best, in my experience, the foreigners are the biggest drinkers. So the people that drink the most get the most courage and then just go for it, or they get themselves a French missus. Have you got yourself a French missus yet, or are you still single?
No, I'm back with Emma.
Right. Well, that's that done. You're never going to speak French then. You're finished.
I did say that when he was over. He got a French girlfriend, and that's what helped him. So, but I think I'll maybe compare myself to guys like Virimi or Anto Claassen or whoever who's been here for like 9-10 years. And I'm thinking, how can't I speak like them yet? I've been here 2.5 years. Surely I can get there. But I think as well, I think I was saying to someone the other day there that I go back and forward a lot. So I did 1 year here, went back for November and back for the Six Nations, then had the World Cup in Scotland, and then came back. So although I've been here for 2.5 years, I've been back home quite a lot as well, which has kind of broken it up. So yeah, I think obviously if I was here for the whole time, it'd be a little bit better. But it's probably been a little bit stop-start, especially the first year and a half. And then being in lockdown didn't help. You can't go out and do anything or speak to anyone. I enjoyed going out for dinner like every night pretty much. I'd always go out for dinner, and the way I justified it to myself and to others was by saying, yeah, go out and have dinner every night, because that's when I get to speak to French to other people. I get to order in French, I can book a table in French or whatever. So that's what it was. I was going out to practice my French, not because I was too lazy to cook.
How have you found the change in general? So look, you've gone from Glasgow, where you were front man, running attack, front of the environment coming through with Gregor Townsend, who, like this week, I'm not sure if you've read the press this week, but in Midi Olympic, he was describing you as like an old couple. He was like, we've been through ups and downs, but actually we love each other. We've just been together too long. That's why we've fallen out, but we're mates again. But how have you found general, the sort of environment change, the culture shift, the change in being in Britain and Glasgow, where you're with Hoggy, Johnny Gray, young guys coming through, but leading so much of what was good about Glasgow Warriors, obviously winning the title for the first time with Glasgow, and then coming somewhere completely different. Like from personal experience, it can be much more relaxed. Like Scotland, for me, can be quite uptight and stringent and controlled. Here it's more, you get the rugby right and you have a laugh and everything else follows. So like for you, your personal experience, the changes that you've had, how have you found the change? Glasgow to Racing, how's it been?
I think, well, that's probably the main reason I came over to France, was to get a change, to get something different. I think, at Glasgow, I loved my time there, and it's got me to where I am just now. But I think for me, I just needed a change, rugby-wise, and just for life. It became kind of the same every day, same week in, week out. So I needed a change, and I thought we'd go to the Premiership, but I thought that would become very similar quickly. So I want to go to France, and it's a completely different culture, lifestyle, everything. So that's why I came to France. And then Racing, it's like you say, it's very if you're doing the job on the pitch, it's then relaxed off the pitch. But I find that over here they flick the switch easier than back in Scotland.
Yeah.
When we going out to train, it's like, right, you're out training, you've got an hour and a half here or whatever it is. You're going to be full on. It's like, it's not just touch, it's like shoulders on every time you train, and the intensity in training's, it's as high as back home, but in a different way. I think back home in Glasgow, when I was there, it was all about playing as fast as we could, and it was really intense like the speed of the sessions. But over here, it's different. There's more sort of contact. It's more just like in a rugby almost that you're doing all the time, which has been good. And I like it like that, where you can go out, you can train, you can get that done, and once you're done having lunch and you finish for the day, you can then completely switch off from it, knowing that that's like your work's been done for the day. Rest, do what you need to do, and then come the next day, we're going to have to be ready to go again. And same for after the games and the weekends and stuff. Once you play the game, if you lose it, it's then you might get a hard time in the changing room. But then the next day you can just switch off, do what you want, and then come Monday you'll deal with it again. Or if you win, you can celebrate. But then come Monday, it's like the start of a new week. You've got to be ready to go again, which I found pretty good. And I think at Racing, it was Toto and Lolo, who were the coaches when I first came over, and they were both like, they're just French speaking. For me, it was quite hard to interact with them. So to have my say in attack and what I thought was quite hard at the start with the limited French that I had, and then now with Mike being there, he was obviously an English speaker. I work with him so closely on the attack and what we're going to do that week, and what happened at the weekend and what we need to do, and so I've got a much a better relationship with Mike because we can speak English, which then probably influences how I'm playing and how the team's maybe playing. So no, it has been very different, but like in an enjoyable way. I've kind of loved it all, and I always go back and say to the boys, you need to go and experience it and try it out, but it's not always as easy as that. So yes, I'm lucky that I got the chance to do it, but I'm happy I picked Racing as well, because it seems like a great club.
I was going to say, in terms of the move itself, obviously you mentioned like Premiership would have been an option. I'm sure there were lots of other offers in France. You don't have to tell us where the other offers were.
Yeah, he does.
But why Racing? What swung it? Did Jackie Lorenzetti meet you? Did he woo you? What did he say? Was it the ground? What particularly about Racing swung it for them?
It's funny, my dad actually said to me like 2 years before that, he reckoned that if I was going to go to France. So I got a bad head injury, and after that I was thinking like, I really want to go to France and experience it, see what it's like at some point in my career, because when I got my head injury, it was close to maybe being me finished playing rugby. So then at that sort of point, I was sort of looking at teams a little bit, but not too much. And my dad, he said, well, Dan Carter's at Racing, but he's like 33 or whatever age he was. He'll probably be finishing up after this contract there. They'll be looking for someone else to come in and fill that place. And that was kind of like a year and a half out from when I actually signed. So I was kind of like, well, yeah, we'll see, I suppose, but I don't know.
Your dad's a smart man, clearly.
But then I tried to put him on Montpellier as well with Vern. when he went to Montpellier, I was trying to get over there as he wanted me to go, but that never happened. So then my dad turned out to be right in the end, actually. But no, I think the stadium's one, the stadium's amazing, the training centre's amazing. But I went across a couple of times and just chatted to to Jackie, to the coaches, and just kind of had a look around. And I loved it since I first came across. It seemed like a really good club and a good fun place to be. Jackie, he's obviously the president of the club, but he's a really a normal guy. He comes in and has coffees in the clubhouse and stuff, and it's not like there's a president, but you can't have a laugh, you can't have a joke. It's like I say, it's very much when you're working. When you're off, it's off. And Jackie, like I say, will sit and have coffees and just chill out and chat away to the boys. Some of the boys you'll have known Henri Chalonce for, I don't know, like 13, 15 years. I don't know how long. So he's got a lot of mates in the team as well as the players. So it's a really nice atmosphere actually at the club. So it's good.
Do you enjoy the arena, Finn? Like the stadium? So like if you get purists from down south, so all my rugby being down south, right? And when they come up, they're like, what is this? But then I think if you're thinking of the future of the game, you think about like as soon as the game's finished, everyone has the party on the pitch. Like you've got the music, it's absolutely bonkers. In terms of a stadium where you play rugby, it makes me think of like an NFL ground, what I imagine that would be like. But do you think that's where the future of rugby is going to go? Is it a pretty cool place to play rugby? The surface looks awesome. But in terms of an environment, is it good crack and a place to play?
Yeah, I think I love it. And I think it kind of suits us as a team. We love playing in it. But like you said, it's like I think Jackie got the guys who do the sound systems and the light systems, and for the Super Bowl they came in and did the stadium and stuff as well. So it probably has had a bit of an influence from the American sports. And it's all a bit kind of entertaining the fans who are there, but then as players you then get that extra kind of, what do you call it, like an extra kind of buzz off that, a bit of energy from that. So it's very different to playing down in, I suppose, Toulon or Montpellier or whatever. But I think as well down there you get nice weather for most of the year. Up in Paris it's not as good weather. Especially over the winter it gets quite cold up here. So to have that arena, we know we're going to have good
It's
ball.
heated, eh?
Yeah, it's 22 degrees all the time. So
next level.
Like the Edinburgh boys, I was chatting to them at the weekend. They were like, "How hot was it in there? It was too hot." 22 degrees, but you forget about that. You go in at half one. The kickoff was at the weekend. I had like trousers and a tracky top on, and you've got to take it off. You're too warm inside, and then you then forget what time of day it is as well because you're indoors, you don't see the light, you don't know what's happening. So then you go back outside and it's sunny again. You're thinking, like, how's this? I was kind of caught up in the moment when you're in the game or when you're watching, which is good. But no, I love it. I love playing there. I think it's a great stadium, and it probably is, especially for maybe in England and Scotland, if they have the money for it, it could potentially be a future for them to have a good dry ball to play with every week. But then it'd probably change the way that all the teams want to play if that was the case, and you wouldn't get the teams who just let the forwards carry and kick the high balls. And I suppose you kind of need them, I suppose. But
and Finn, the arena seems to suit you perfectly. Obviously, your style of game, wrestling seemed to suit you perfectly. And we know you've got the full range of tricks. I remember seeing you in a game last year, and I think it went viral doing juggling in the warm up and everything. You seem to play with a smile on your face, which we all love. But do you get a bit annoyed from time to time that you're always tagged as the Maverick or whatever? Because we've seen you control games with your boot as well. Like, does it ever annoy you that you always get tagged with that rather than people seeing your all-round game?
I suppose I'm just used to it now. That's just what everyone refers to me as. Like, he's a Maverick. They don't really, like you're saying, it's an easy word to say because that's what got chucked around at the start. When I first came through with Glasgow, it was maybe a different style of rugby that I was trying to play, which is now how most teams play. But at the time, it was like, oh, he's a Maverick. He does, and that name's just now linked with me, I suppose. All the journalists will say, oh yeah, Finn Russell, the Maverick, or the Maverick, blah blah blah. And I think it annoys my mum and dad more than it does me. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. It's just going to be there now. So, but no, I think the Six Nations there against England and France and these sort of games, if I don't do something that's an off-forward or some kind of pass or kick, it's like, oh, Finn had a really quiet game, but it's like, well, I've just maybe just controlled the game differently. I've not had to do anything fancy. I've not had to do that awful. I've not had to do that kick. It's just these occasions haven't come up. So, which is now it's just that's how it is. If I don't do something like that in a game, it's then referred to as a quiet game. Whereas maybe if some other teams would have had the same game, it's like I had a good game, he controlled it, and that's just how it is.
Mate,
so
don't give us that shit. You love the sparkly stuff.
No,
You live for it.
I do love it.
Maybe you didn't do anything because you had to control the game because that's how good you are. But you do look for it, and that's probably the X factor that racing want from you. You know, they're not expecting Virimi Vakatawa to truck it up and then give us a meter of possession and then give a clean ball. No, you want him to do his thing, and the same for you. So I don't think there's anything wrong. If you're the Maverick, then fuck it, yeah, you'll be the Maverick. It might be a little bit reductive because that's not only what you are. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on. I mean, when you're that good and you can do some crazy stuff like that, you might as well embrace it.
Yeah, no, exactly. I do love doing it. If it's a crossfield kick.
There we go.
I do love doing it. These are the skills that are kind of like a challenging, I suppose, or it's kind of it's a nice thing to do. It's a nice skill to do, or to have a thing like that. That's kind of my job. It's you might get someone like Duan who runs over 3 defenders and scores in the corner, but that like me hitting a nice crossfield kick or a chip over the top is, for me, I get pleasure doing that.
Yeah, I think the Maverick tag. So, like the Maverick tag is a compliment in one sense because it means that your technical ability is there and you can execute and you can make it look easy, which is really, really hard to do. Not many people on the planet can do it. So it's a compliment for me. I think the Maverick thing comes in because you have a smile on your face, and that's also quite rare that somebody can execute at that level and enjoy it and enjoy the atmosphere and look like they're really enjoying our sport at a professional level. That's even more rare. And so I think that's where people get confused. And they also don't see, like, Maverick for me has real negative connotations. I don't see as, like, we've played together, I didn't see as Maverick at all. Joy to play with, great bloke. They also don't see the work and the graft that goes in behind the scenes. So, like, you're ultimately the decision maker, you're the driver, you're the boss of the attack structure. You're there analyzing every week, opposition, weak points, sweet spot, how do we go and play? Like, the work that goes in, there's no way that you could be tagged as a Maverick. It's just impossible. So keep doing what you're doing, mate. I love it. Like, we only got to play something like 5 or 6 tests together, I think. Maverick stuff for me, it annoys me when I see you tagged in the press because, like, we get to watch you week in, week out for racing, and we don't see a Maverick. We see somebody that's at top of their game and absolutely bossing the top 14. So keep doing what you're doing. I wanted to ask you on that, though, when you're going to a different level and you're going to racing, obviously different pay structures, different levels, and different people around you, how much fun has it been to have those pawns? Like, you talked about Hugh Jones and playing with him, but when you've got Shavonsi, Vakatawa, Beale, who else have you got outside you? Zebo, like what? Teddy Thomas, like, you've got freaks everywhere. How much fun is it getting to organize those guys during the week and then go out and play with them at the weekend?
I love it. I think with me, it's really it's not got me better. It's maybe made me more consistent in terms of I'm playing with some of the best guys in the world, so I need to make sure I'm at their level. I want to be kind of still the main guy in the team who's, like you say, controlling the attack, running the show. So when you're with some of the best players in the world, I've got to be at the top of my game every week to be able to do that, I think, me and Virimi and Zebo especially, we have a laugh on the pitch. Me and Virimi are like just run that line, I'll chuck you the ball and you just go. It's kind of similar to what we did at the Barbarians with Semi. He was like, just give me the ball and let me go.
So easy.
Be like that. But yeah, just chuck me the ball and I'll go. I've got them. And I'll be saying, like, yeah, look for him doing this. Look for him. We kind of just chat the whole way through the game, and it's nothing. We don't try anything too crazy. It's just like we do simple things well, and we kind of read off each other really well. And I think, we kind of one thing that me and Jeeves have really clicked on doing is kind of like, he'll be saying to me, right, this guy's getting tired, he's getting tired, look for this now, because the last time they did this and this. So if we get that, they're going to do it again, so look for that. And a few times we've scored tries, made breaks or whatever, and it's always because of things that the defence have done over the last 4 or 5 phases, and then he's seen it, or I'm seeing it, and we're all seeing it together. And then we're good enough that we're able to execute straight away. So, it could be, like I say, a small things like Virimi going on a bounce. I say, right, you hit a bounce when you're against him. He'll be able to see, right, that guy's in front of me now. I can hit that bounce, and knowing that I can hit him in that pass where he needs it to be. Then we can go from there. It's just kind of small things and being able to execute them really well, which is probably why it's so much fun. Because you throw that nice pass, you let Virimi go on his way, and and it's funny. Then he's got a big smile when he's running into the try line. You know, I hope it's going to be fun.
Another guy who had a proper smile on his face, and I'm sure Virimi grew up watching him. It was Sivi Vatu. Yeah. And I played with him 3 years in Clermont, mate. He was absolutely hilarious. And so it wasn't even, let's have a go, let's have a crack. It's whenever we did plays during the week, because Vern Cotter was my coach in Clermont, and he would go through those long plays of you're going to go through, hit the fours. And you could do Sivi Vatu every single time. It was about a forward touching the ball. He's going, really? Because you have a really high-pitched voice. Really? We have to, bro. Okay. And as soon as the overlap was ready, every time he would say on the pitch, he was like, as soon as there's space, give me the ball, get out of the way. And that's all he wanted. It was just like, give me the ball, give me the ball. He was that good. You talk about Virimi, I said he was power walking, where Sivi Vatu was walking. He was like moonwalking backwards, whatever. But he's the only guy that I've seen actually dummy a guy barely standing. I think his feet were static. He just went whoop like that. He managed to dummy a guy. He was just next level for that stuff.
Mate, I was with him in Cast as well. So the Cava King, he's the only man that has managed to, I don't know how, but he's imported the level of Cava that I think is allowed for the island of Fiji. He imports the whole thing to France. He's like the main distributor for the whole country of France. He's a freak, but he's right. He's the only man that could throw that dummy that you'd see 20 times in training, like nobody's going to buy that. And he'd sell the whole stand down the corner, be off scoring the corner. So mate, just going back to your point, Finn, do you find it easier playing with players, like certainly I did, but do you find it easier clicking up a gear when you've got guys around you that can operate at that level? Like we've seen the chip kicks, like with Vakatawa, obviously it's communication between you and it's called and you just have to execute and put it on a sixpence. Have you found playing with boys that are at that level week in, week out, it drags your standards up, but almost in some respects makes it easier because they're so good?
Yeah, I think it's both of them. You know, like I say, for me, I'm trying to be at their level, or I'm trying to be as good as I can be. But then to be up their level, you've got to be there every week in, week out. And then so it kind of drags me up. I like to hope that I can maybe drag them up a little bit, and it kind of vice versa. But through that, the guy, I think playing in Glasgow and in the Pro 14 is different to the top 14. Over here, you've got to be ready to play week in, week out, whereas in Glasgow, you play 3 or 4 games and you get a weekend off if you're a Scottish international. So part of it's that the players you play with, and part of it's probably getting that consistency playing with them all the time. There's times that you'll go on like a 12, 13 match run playing with the same team. So then you get that consistency, you get those bonds with each other that you can then do stuff without even having to say it, almost like you say the chip kicks. Like me and Virimi know, I know that if he calls it, it's going to be on, so I'm going to trust him to do that. And he knows if he calls it, I'm going to look for it. So you get these relationships and these kind of bonds with the different teammates, and how I like to play, how they like to play, what their traits are, and how you like to do it. Which when if you're playing in Glasgow, when you play 3 games and a weekend off, and they change your team up, then they're constantly rotating the team due to the kind of rules and regulations there. That's hard to consistently get the sort of similar team week in, week out. Yeah, you might have the same 9 and 10 every week, or 9, 10, 15, but then centres are constantly changing, wingers, forwards, it's always changing. So they do rotate here a little bit, but you're generally playing with the same guys, or there's maybe one change here and there, but nothing too major.
You mentioned your relationship with Virimi Vakatawa and Simon Zebo on the pitch, and Johnny mentioned Carver before. Has he got you on the Carver in the dressing room, Vakatawa?
No, I've not had Cava. Well, I think I've had it once either with him or Joe Rokoko or Ben Volavola. But no, not too much actually. They do it once a week, I think maybe. But whenever I get back after training, I tend just to kind of chill out. So I've not gone round for one. Or when Leone was here, I was going to do one with him, I think, as well. But no, not yet. So
you're a wise man. Stay clear.
But if anybody does it, he drinks a bit with who's the boy that plays with Stad, the winger?
Weiser.
Weiser.
I think Virimi kind of sometimes drinks the Cava with him. But I remember the last time I did it, I think was properly was the Barbarians, actually, with Semi and Josh. 2 nights out from the game, we were doing it, so that was the last time I properly drank it. But I'm staying away from that, thankfully.
The good stuff, mate. So going on to another one of your teammates, Simon Zebo. Obviously, you're pretty close. White chocolate, is his pet name for you, which is a nice big compliment. He also has given you a bit of sticks that you're driving around Paris in a white Lamborghini. Can you put rest or put that to bed and tell us what you're actually driving in Paris? Are you in a white Lamborghini? And B, how much are you going to miss Zebo when he moves on to end of the year? Obviously, you're good mates and he's moving on to pastures new. How much are you going to miss him?
I'm unfortunately not driving about in a white Lamborghini.
It's a blue one.
Only. We get the club cars, so because the club's sponsored by Toyota, we either get Toyotas or Lexus to drive around in. So currently I've got a Lexus, which is decent. So not quite the Lamborghini, but it's fine. I don't know if I don't know I'd trust having a Lamborghini in Paris with some of the drivers, the parking, just everything here. I don't mind driving here, but I wouldn't want to drive, a 200 grand car around in Paris.
And so Simon, like obviously you're good mates, you work really well together on the field. How much are you going to miss not having him with you on the field and off the field come the end of this season?
Yeah, so I don't know if he knows what he's doing yet next year. I think he'd like to stay at Racing. There's some talk of him maybe going back home. There's some talk of a couple of other clubs in France. So I'm not sure what's. I've tried to get out of him, but he's not saying much, so he's keeping his cards quite close to his chest. But yeah, no, I'll be gutted if he does leave. I'll be gutted. I got on with him so well. When we first moved over, he was living like 500 meters around the corner from me. So, and we just clicked straight away. Like the first night we met, we just kind of clicked and had a laugh. And I think that's what everyone sees in the pitch as well and off it. Just the relationship we have. I think he's a great player as well. I think he's one of the best that I've played with. So I think he should definitely be in the Ireland squad and probably starting for them, in my opinion. And he's just kind of fallen out of favour here a little bit. I think he's had a couple of injuries and kind of fallen out of favour, but I love playing alongside him because, as well as him being a great player, but we have such a laugh on the pitch, which it's probably not what you should be doing. Like we're on the pitch just having a laugh, but we're playing really well when we're doing it, and that's really how we get the best from each other. Like I said, when we played Munster over there, he had one point when he saw their prop was struggling and he's kind of picking them out and I'd run at him, do this and do that. And then I think Juan went on, I made a break, and then Juan went on and scored the try. And me and Zebo were just laughing to each other after it, saying, he was like, I told you it was going to work, I told you. And I was like, yeah. And we were just like laughing around it. So, I love him. We got on so well on the pitch and off it. So, if he does end up leaving, then I'll be gutted. He's a big character to have in the team, and he lifts everyone's spirits, which is really good. And whether he's playing or not, he's always having a laugh. His favourite ones before a game, it's just ambiance like that. That's all he shouts before a game. Ambiance like that, ambiance, and I'm like, what are you on about? He's just like shouting at the back and laughing away. And it's funny. So, I think that's he's a great player and a great guy to have around. Everyone loves him. So, we'll see what happens.
Keep doing what you're doing. We love seeing smiles on your faces. Don't ever change. And speaking of smiles on faces and looking forward, we can't let you go without mentioning the Lions, of course. Have you spoken to Gatland? I mean, obviously last time you sort of went on the Lions tour, you were involved for a very short period of time. Are you, obviously it's in your mind, how much are you looking forward to that kind of prospect? Obviously you've got to get picked first, but
I'd love to go on the tour, obviously. I think when I went on the last one, it was only for 10 days, so you experience it a little bit, but by that point the tour's cut into the test 23 and then the midweek 23, so it's a very different kind of environment when you're in the midweek 23, and then there's only two of us that ended up getting on out of the 8 that travelled out. So it was amazing to do it and to experience a little bit. So that if I was to go this year, I'd love to do the full tour and experience what that's like, because I've heard it's such an amazing thing to do. However, it will be different with COVID and with fans probably not being able to travel. It'll be very different as well. But I would just love to see what it's like, and that's the highest level you can play at for a UK player, UK and Irish player. So to go there and do that and test yourself with the best in the countries, then it'd be a great experience. So I don't know, we'll see. It's still a long way away. I think I was chatting to Gregor after the Six Nations, and he was saying, you had a good tournament, blah blah blah, and all the best for the summer sort of thing. And I was like, yeah, it's thanks, but it's still, it could be like 15 or 12 games left in the season here, so there's there's still a lot of rugby left. So you never know what'll happen. I don't know. I've got a few weeks off just now, so that'll be good for the body. But a big run to the end of the season, so that'll be full on enough. So you can't kind of let yourself start thinking about if I get picked, what it's going to be like, and you can't think about the summer. I've got to be fully focused here, and we're trying to win a couple of titles with Racing this year. So if we manage to do that and I go on the tour, then obviously that'd be the best outcome. But I've got to focus on here first, and then the rest will take care of itself, hopefully.
Well, thanks ever so much for coming on and sharing your insight, Finn, and good luck in the coaching capacity this weekend and in the run into the end of the season with Racing, and hopefully see you in South Africa with the Lions as well.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. We'll see. Get a win this weekend and we'll go from there. So,
and we'll see you in Boom Boom very soon as well, Finn.
Yes.
It's open.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Thanks a lot, Finn.